Welcome to Centered the podcast. I'm your host, Leslie Braverman, and I'm sharing holistic content that reconnects you to your most centered self, that place within you that is energized, knowing, and uplifted despite the chaos and demands of life. It's that place within you where you can become the portal of possibility. Today, we're welcoming Leah Vong. She's an integrative healing practitioner and integrative nutrition health coach. She works with people with a variety of chronic health issues and specializes in resolving gut health challenges. Leah focuses on identifying underlying imbalances while strategically minimizing the physical, mental, and environmental stressors that prevent healing. Leah helps her clients restore balance, reclaim energy, and experience renewed vitality. Leah has a background in occupational therapy and holistic manual therapy. Her approach is holistic and grounded in the belief that a healthy gut is essential for overall well-being and that the body's systems are deeply interconnected. Leah and I have known each other for, oh my gosh, maybe 11, 12 years now, and we are
Yeah.
like-minded souls. And I'm so excited to welcome you. Hi, Leah.
Hi, Leslie. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and for this conversation with you too.
Likewise, so grateful. Well, tell us a little bit about what led you into this type of work.
Yeah, so like so many people, it was my journey and I had so much going on with my gut, with I was being diagnosed with autoimmune conditions and food sensitivities kept kind of just building and building one on top of the other. And I was trying so hard to understand my body and found that it was really difficult to find the resources that I needed and to find the people, the practitioners or the tools that I needed to kind of get out of that cycle. So after lots of trial and error, lots of experimenting with different things and doing a whole lot of research, I eventually ended up going back to school to be a health coach and then later on to be an integrative healing practitioner. And I think the thing that led me there mostly was that my path was so winding and so convoluted, and I just saw such a need for myself, to fill these gaps that in the health world that weren't being filled by other practitioners. And so, I think that what's kind of guided how my programs and how my approach is set up now is that we're looking at all these different pieces, and nobody at that time that I knew of was really pulling those different pieces together, really pulling together what was happening mentally for people with these challenges, physically and, on the spiritual level as well. And yeah, that long winding path just kind of brought me to doing what I am today, doing what I'm doing today.
It's such a
Yeah.
beautiful and necessary story. I know so many people who have had various issues that have led to other issues. And then it's just like an unraveling that can happen
Yeah.
as we dig into personal growth, personal health, and all of the challenges in getting good information. I'm so glad you're doing this.
Yeah, it really feels so important. And I see a lot of clients who come to me with like all the testing and I see that pattern repeated again and again that I've been to the GI doctor, I've done the endoscopy, I've done the colonoscopy, I have a diagnosis of IBS, but what does that mean? Or on the flip side, just everything's fine, you're completely normal, and these people are struggling every day. And so I think that and that's one thing I love about health coaching is I feel like there's these gaps in our system that are really filled by what a lot of health coaches have to offer.
Absolutely. The daily life is so poignant, and the choices that we make every moment really do define, and they compound, right? They add up and
Yeah.
make huge shifts, or shifts in the wrong direction, shifts in the right direction. And it's so easy to course correct when you have a guide like Leah. It's so great. Tell me about, like, what are some of your favorite like client success stories? What have you witnessed as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to see the transformation that people go through when we're working on these various levels. Bringing in food is addressed in at least the alternative or the natural health world, not so much always in the conventional health world. But then when we start layering in, what does it actually look like for you to take care of yourself and to build in time for self-care? And what does it look like for you to have routines that help you to regulate and manage your stress and minimize stress in your life? Or kind of looking at those negative beliefs. I mean, the transformations are so amazing. And people, as they commit and get into that process, like the healing patterns just unfold, and we come out in the end where it's like, wow, I didn't even expect so many of these things to happen. And I think that's one of the most fun and rewarding parts of what I do is like, yeah, your food sensitivities are no longer interrupting your life every day, and your gut health is in a much better place. But also, like, what has this done for your relationships and your personal life and just the joy you experience every day? So I think that ripple effect is probably the most fun to see.
I love that. I have the same experience as a coach. I love how all the sectors of life can be touched and shifted with just shifts on the internal. And we
Yeah.
really are this internal landscape that is so rich and so deep, and that focus on embodiment and shifting in the routines and that self-awareness and self-love, right? So much
Yeah.
self-love changes everything.
Well,
Yeah.
it's the little things, right? It really is the little things. And as we start to like kind of build those and they accumulate, and the compounding effect of all these little things we're doing for our body just gives our body so much more space to heal and to reflect and connect with our spiritual selves and our purpose and what brings us joy and meaning in our life. And I think chronic health challenges really convolute that and kind of put us in a fog. And so I think, yeah, it's amazing to see as people start to peel back those barriers one by one, and their body is more resourced and has more energy and tools for whatever it is that comes next or whatever it is that lights them up. And yeah, it's just really amazing to see what happens as a result of that work.
Yeah. And I think, to your point, there's always a catalyst, right? There's always something that ignites this flame inside. And this flame is often autoimmune or some sort of inflammation
Mm,
or a major issue that takes all of these things together and compounds this fire inside, right? And the fire is kind of
yeah.
in the wrong place and needs to be worked out and shifted in all these ways. But the catalyst, the transformational fire is so powerful and really does move into every sector of life. But so like what are some of your favorite tips for those who are listening for
You know, I,
change, for
yeah, I,
experiencing some of this?
Yeah, I love that question. And I would definitely say, first of all, tuning in and listening to your body. So, this is something that I feel like is really missed in so many of the protocols and plans and support that people are giving. And so, it's someone else determining what's right for you and starting to listen to what your body's telling you and tuning in to how you're feeling when you eat certain foods, what it feels like when you're really stressed, and just becoming aware of your body. It's something we can all do free. I won't say it's easy all the time. I think it's a constant reminder and building a practice of kind of coming back to like, where am I? How am I feeling? What's going on? What does it feel like when these different things are happening in my body? It's a process, and it's a process that I work over the course of like my work with clients. We'll do this work over months, but I think people can start now. They can start wherever they are. It's something that you can start to build in at a red light or as you're walking down the street. Just that mindfulness component of what is my body trying to tell me, and knowing that whatever symptoms it is people are dealing with, or whatever feelings it is, it doesn't even have to be a physical symptom, whatever stress or anything that they're dealing with, we can tune in and just start to kind of hear what our body's telling us. Anxiety is a symptom, and bloating's a symptom, and these are all messages or symptoms or messages coming from our body. And so I feel like that if we were taught that as preschoolers, all of us, can you imagine where the world would be?
And our kids know some of this stuff, right? And we have these
They're
very
so
feisty,
fortunate.
Leah and I have feisty and communicative children because they know this stuff.
Right. And that's the interesting thing is kids are so much more in tune with what they want and what works for them and what doesn't. And we untrain that in them and cover it up with what they should be doing, what they should be eating, what they should, and
Always.
it's
Yep.
so unfortunate that we don't let them keep more of that.
Their intuition. Yeah.
Their
They know.
intuition, right?
Mhm.
Their
They
awareness
know.
of what's happening with their body and what it's doing. I mean, my 3.5-year-old is very clear. My
They
10-year-old
know.
is very clear. They know. And I think as adults, like for myself, it's been, and for my clients, I see there's a lot of untraining and a lot of going back to reconnecting with that kind of
Mhm.
inner child that knows that wise inner child. Yeah.
That knows it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Representing the body, the mind, the spirit, all of it. It's holding it all.
Yeah,
And that's
absolutely.
the power of parenting right now as mothers. Leah and I are both mothers, and a lot of people who are listening here have children. Just what sort of tips do you have for mamas who are wanting to keep that power of body language and to empower their kids and their intuition?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think first of all, just listening to our kids is really important, really hearing what they're telling us, because I think they often say things that I know when I was a kid, I should say, things will be said that just get dismissed, right? And so then we're taught that whatever you're feeling is not either right, makes you feel innately wrong, or it's not going to serve you best, or we just need to do something different, right? It's just dismissed. And so when that happens, that's part of that untraining. So just starting to listen to our kids and let them vocalize what it is that they're feeling at different times and helping them validate that that's okay. And whether we need to make a choice that is in line with that, or maybe right now we need to make a choice that works for the whole family or for whatever it is we're doing, that they feel that their thoughts about where they're at are worth being heard and validated and that kind of thing. And then I think also we can ask them questions about how are you feeling right now? Or if something comes up, like if your kiddo has a bellyache, what did you eat? Like helping asking questions that can prompt them to kind of think about what did I do today that was maybe different than what I was doing when I was feeling good? And when I do feel good, what are the things that help me feel that way? So just those
Fantastic. Yeah.
reflection questions I think are really important. But
Yeah.
even more than that, just that piece around just hearing them and letting them vocalize and letting them make choices when they can that are in line with what they're telling us is true to them, is true to their soul and to their what feels right for their body.
Yeah, really powerful way to raise kids and really can change the family structure a lot because then everyone has a voice.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's really important. I was just laughing to myself because I thought we could do like a little role play. I had some avocado toast this morning. I took my youngest out for breakfast and I had avocado toast and I'm feeling so heavy right now. Leah,
Yeah,
like feeling so heavy. Like, what would you say to someone who's like, okay, I know avocado toast is really popular, it's really healthy, it's really this,
yeah,
it's really that. But then the question is, right, how is it in your body? How does that feel
exactly.
right now in your body and in this
Yeah,
season and in this time of year and in this point in your life and in your day? So many details, right?
yeah. Yeah, yeah. And that's so powerful, right? Is that we think that things that are supposed to be healthy should be working for us. And if they're not, that something's wrong with our body. And if, we're eating things that we feel like aren't as healthy, and we just have all these stigmas about food and what it should feel like or what we should be doing around it. And I really truly see people with all kinds of sensitivities, and it can be categories of vegetables that are accumulating in their body isn't detoxifying those food chemicals properly. And the food chemicals are, just to explain a little bit, they're things that are often in plant foods, or we can be dealing with histamines that can be in meat or plant foods, and they can build up in our body when our gut isn't in good shape. We may not be getting rid of them the way that we should be. And so they accumulate and they can affect our joints and our tissues and inflammation and all these various things. And so that is a really big mindset shift for a lot of people to just be like, wow, okay, this avocado is supposed to be right, but I had a client I'm thinking of right now who avocado particularly constipated her again and again and again, and she never would have really thought about avocado being the culprit, right? And so as people heal, they can add those things back in, and it changes how our biome is and how our gut is, changes how we deal with these various foods. But yeah, I think it's really important that we try to stay open as you're kind of practicing this awareness or guiding your kids with it or whoever, that like, okay, like first of all, in avocado toast, it can be gluten. There could be something maybe on the bread if you were at a restaurant that could be an oil or some kind of other fat that you don't respond well to. I mean, there's so many different components. And I want to speak to what you were saying, Leslie, about right now in this moment, because that's that practice of building awareness of how am I feeling and what maybe contributed to that. And it can be different at different parts of our cycle. For women who are cycling, it can be different if you are feeling under an incredible amount of stress or if you're really tired. It can be, all these things. So it's just that constant check in. And I always encourage my clients to kind of keep a list of what's working, what's not working, but we do it in a Google Doc so they can shift things, so they can say, okay, let's see, that didn't work for me before, but as things start moving to the yes list and this, like, I'm actually doing okay with that now, we can also see those signs of healing. But it's fluid, it's going to be fluid, and as we go through the different phases and stages in our lives, and even in throughout the month and sometimes throughout the day, it can change. And so I think your point is really important, that like, where am I right now?
Excellent. Yeah, that's so helpful. And just having this constant awareness and self-forgiveness too, I think is super important on this journey because there's a lot of pathways to clear out in order to get everything functioning really well. Usually, if you're
Yeah,
headed to see an amazing coach like Leah, stuff's kind of built up over time and there's some clean
right.
out to do. Do you want to talk about cleanse at all?
And in what sense? Just
Just
how people can
the
start to
yeah, like yeah, maybe like a little
detoxify a little
tip on
bit?
a little daily detox or awareness of
Yeah.
that pathway.
Yeah. It's really interesting. And a big part of the work that I do also is really supporting the detox pathways. Because when we think about the world that we're living in and toxins on furniture and in fabrics and in the new carpet you put in, or maybe in the old carpet, and mold spores. And I mean, it's just like we could go on and on, not to
Big
mention our
list.
food and water and those kind of more basic things too. So our detox pathways are just constantly overwhelmed. And so I think the most practical tips are that we can do a lot of things that are free and simple, like opening the windows and letting fresh air in. Unless you live in a city that's super polluted, almost always the outside air is going to be better for you to breathe than what's inside. And even in the winter, open the window for 5, 10 minutes and just let some fresh air in, and then close it again. But it allows that exchange. Or drinking lots of clean water, getting a water filter, things like that. Because again, we're just looking at taking stress off the body. And there's so many ways we can do that. And as the stress starts to relieve, and as we pull back those barriers and address each one, there's more space for the body to heal even further. And so the more resources we can give the body, and the more things, the more stressors we can remove, that's what allows people to get to that point where the body can do its innate healing work. And that really is the goal, just little by little peeling those things back. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that we can support detox pathways like dry brushing and, people get into doing a more heavier flushes, or we can do sauna, or just being in the sun, or grounding, going outside and letting the earth like neutralize by being barefoot or touching a tree if it's cold where you are, and being in nature and allowing like the earth to do some of that work for us. Like it just neutralizes so much to be in nature. Swimming in salt water is amazing, things like that. So there's a lot of things we can do to both give those resources, but also to remove toxins on a daily basis. And I could go on and on. I feel like this could be a whole other podcast because there's lots and lots of pretty simple things that we can do to support our detox pathways and give our body that extra space it needs.
Absolutely. I think that this is a really nice starter list for everybody. A lot of things on this list are really joyful. So, grounding is amazing. Is amazing. Actually, if you've never had filtered water before, you're going to love it. It's amazing. And just a little note on filtered water, if you do reverse osmosis, it pulls everything out, even the good stuff. So, you want to also put in some trace minerals into that. And that's something as a hydrogeologist, I always make sure I tell everybody because
Yeah.
you don't want to lose the right minerals. You want to keep the right minerals and detox the others. So awesome, Leah. I'm so grateful for you. I'm glad you're here and doing what you're doing. Let us know where to find you and what you have going on.
Yeah, so the easiest place to find me is on my website, leahvong.com. So it's just LeahVong. And I have links to everything from there. People are welcome to email me too, and it's just leah@leahvong.com also. I'm happy to receive emails and talk with people. And then the third place for finding me would be my Facebook group on called Food Sensitivity Support for Women, and people are welcome to come and join that. It's a public group, and they can come in and ask questions or connect with me there. And then, yeah, what I'm doing right now, as far as working with people, I have a group program that people can come into, and it's a guided course and a group coaching program, and it's called Food Freedom. It's for food sensitivities, but really it's for anyone with who wants to kind of go through this process of figuring out what serves them well and what isn't working for them. And we start with food, and food's a big part of it, but it's also about connecting to your vision and where you want to be. It's about kind of getting your body ready for shifts and changes. And then we get into looking at thinking patterns, looking at stress, building self-care routines together, looking at limiting beliefs and kind of getting a little bit into that trauma piece. I don't do heavy trauma work. I always refer out for that, but little bits of just kind of working through those thoughts that are maybe keeping us stuck. So that's what that course is about. And then we meet once a week as a group. And there's chance for group coaching and for or individual coaching within that group. And also for like any questions that maybe come up, just and that accountability, which is so huge for keeping us on track when we're wanting to make those changes and take steps. So I have that going on. And then I also see clients one-on-one, and I do both coaching with that, more customized as everybody shows up each week. And also, I do functional lab and genetic testing. And so that's been really fun getting into a lot of what I'm doing with the microbiome. And we can look at, with gut health being such a foundational piece, we can really look at what's happening in your gut, what bacteria and microbes are growing overboard, and which ones need to grow more and to be more populous in the gut. And so that's really fun because we can see like what neurotransmitters are being produced. We can see what's happening with your estrogen recycling and your hormones. We can see different things with how you're producing B vitamins and nutrients and things like that, along with like what things are building up and becoming toxic in the body and which things are not not abundant enough. And so that's been really fun to do that. And we just get so much information, and it's such a good starting point for any chronic health challenges. And then in addition to that, I'm doing like genetic testing and bringing genetics in, and we just combine all the pieces, right? I combine like what's happening in your real life. What are your symptoms? Like that's at the forefront because we want you to find relief. We want to get to what's underlying that. And then looking at the objective data we get from all the testing is really helpful to see what's going on underneath the surface and really help support you with the best protocol that combines all those things, stress and lifestyle and food and then supportive supplements that can help with different things too.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Leah. We're so glad to have had you on. And everyone listening, just remember that you're already perfect just as you are. These are just wonderful things that you can delve into for transformation if you're on that pathway. Otherwise, keep it simple, right? Self-love, self-care, and keep being that portal of possibility.
Love that. Thank you so much for having me, Leslie.
Thank you. And if that episode resonated with you and you'd like to go deeper into your healing journey, check out my newly released book, Centered: The Art of Living from Within, now available on Amazon. Or head over to centeredbyleslie.com to schedule a no-cost strategy session for wellness coaching, Ayurvedic therapies and herbal consults, back pain healing, and yoga. I'm looking forward to working with you.